Hi, I'm your host, Marlo Lemon, and you're listening to Wild Voice, the podcast where I take this voice of mine and share my wild journey with you. Being widowed at 34 with a 15-month-old, most would see as life ending. And instead, I alchemized it and put life back together, and it became more beautiful and fulfilling than I could have ever imagined. Through this life shift of mine, I realized who I am and what I'm here to do. I'm an intuitive energy healer, and sharing how I view the world is how I help you upgrade your life and alchemize your journey into magic. From day one, I wanted to share my journey, call it intuition, but I knew it was going to do more good out in the world than keeping it to myself. So when I say I've mastered life, that doesn't mean I'm perfect or that life is. I mean, I've mastered the concept of life, and I want to share that with you. Today's episode is about a topic I have gotten a lot of experience with. Doesn't mean I've completely mastered it, but enough that my guides are telling me it's time to share it with you. My second confirmation, in case I was doubting it, when it came up today when I ended up explaining this concept to Nash. He was moving through something that was keeping him in this frustrated cycle. What I have been tested with lots over the last 5 years in different forms and for different reasons. The art of getting good at being in the uncomfortable. We all can relate at some point in our life, if not multiple points. We've been extremely uncomfortable, and we've had to just be in it. That in itself pisses us off. The lack of control we feel we have is frustration enough to push us to having an adult tantrum. I know I'm not the only one, and it can look all different kinds of ways. Maybe screaming in a pillow, wanting to cry, actually crying, yelling, swinging our fists in the air, stomping our feet, and even steps further where we actually make contact with that person, wall, or even use our words to inflict pain. A lot of this on a deep level is directed at ourselves. One of the reasons this happens is because the pain and energy is so big in our body that it has to move. It overflows. There is healing in letting that energy move. More on how to safely move through this sort of energy another time. But being a female moving that energy is important. I've learned raising a male, finding ways for him is super important. That testosterone has a mind of its own, let alone the unique way the male brain processes things. I am learning so much. So how do we get good at being in the uncomfortable to save ourselves, others, and our pillows? How about starting with actions to help ourselves feel better and get through the process completely? I'll share with you a few things I've learned along the way, so my experiences and gauntlet moments with all of this can help you shorten your learning curve. Today, while I was explaining this process to Nash and breaking it down and using examples that made sense for his life and interests and values, it was after multiple cycles of this same sort of outburst over the span of weeks, heightening just the other day. He's home and out of school these last 2 weeks, so when that happens, everyone in our household gets a crash course in growth. It's just bound to happen under the same roof for extended periods of time. Well, the main kicker here was being frustrated and angry with things being hard and wanting to give up. I think we all can relate, right? Now, for him, this was being applied to video games, looking for things in his room, cleaning up his room, buckling his seatbelt, playing soccer, frisbee, reading, writing, you name it. It was a common theme that needed to be moved through. And when I saw it pop up today, I could see the pattern and was excited we had hit the nail on the head, because now that meant we could break the cycle. A lot of the times we focus on tools, which are very important. It's also important to understand that clarity is key. The tools are useless if we have no clarity on what we're actually using them for or which ones to use. So the reason for this episode topic is I realized we all could use the understanding of what uncomfortable really means and what it's doing. Understanding we aren't broken when things are uncomfortable, and it's not a hint that we can't do it or it's time to give up. Or for me personally, that something terrible is about to happen, like a warning sign. So I'll start with what I told Nash. Buddy, get used to being uncomfortable. The quicker you just let go and tell yourself this is going to happen, things will have moments of being hard, but they will have less hold over you. And I told him how cool it is to care about how you show up in life and do things. I told him it is a sign change is happening, that something is shifting, and without that, life would be boring. As I was on my rant with him and my epiphany, I told him it would serve him well to change his idea of uncomfortable, flipping it to being excited for the discomfort and seeing it like a game, a life game. If you want to get to the next level, this is the key to doing that. At 6, we overuse the word boring, so it holds a lot of weight. So I leaned into the idea, which is very true for anyone at any age. If we aren't uncomfortable ever, and sometimes even for extended periods of time, we would be bored to death, like miserably yawning uncontrollably, and life would be very dull. So if you are using this for yourself or someone else, find the pain point. What are you not wanting? And see how this is helping you get what you do. You want to become the best gamer and problem solver on the planet? Then embrace the uncomfortable spots while you learn something new. You want to have the best relationship ever? Then get good at sitting in uncomfortable moments to heal, to push through to the next level of mastery and understanding each other. It's very rare and uncommon for us to grow in easy, comfortable moments, especially with things we don't care much about or don't hold much value to us. So if you have discomfort, be excited about it. It means you're alive, means you are moving through this life and upgrading your experiences and what you deserve with each moment of it. To take it a step further and to give you a little story to hit it home, when I had to sit in all the shit that kept coming up that week before Bob died, it was making my skin crawl. I felt like I wanted to run from myself, but I couldn't, and that was the hardest part. I was frustrated because I felt like I was trapped. I was trapped with information and limited options, when really I wanted to say, fuck off to it all. But that was me having an adult tantrum. Deep down, I wanted to move through it. I wouldn't have been happy or satisfied or in any less pain if I would have ran from it. If anything, I probably would have been worse off. The moment that maybe you can relate to is when we are in this sort of position and we are so fucking frustrated with it, and it's so fucking uncomfortable, and we hate the feeling. We just hate feeling like we have no control. Like someone said, sorry, too bad. You're going to sit in it and there is nothing you can do about it. Until now. Shift your perception on it. Sitting uncomfortable for more than a hot second stalls our growth, fulfillment, and passion. So, if you ask me, I think it should be the other way around. I felt comfortable for a lot of my life, up until about 5 years ago. There were tough spots, but I was working towards comfort. And when I got it, things would stall. And they actually didn't have that much fulfillment to them. I have had more fulfillment and magical moments in my life over the last 5 years, and I have been the most uncomfortable I have ever been. Comfort is not the goal. It's an illusion that there is some perfect end goal. It's also frustrating when someone says it's all about the journey. So I'll tell you, I think it's a combo of the two. It's to have moments of discomfort, to work the muscle, and practice getting comfortable in it. That's part of the lesson. So we can have less of that and move through it with more ease to the next beautiful moment. How empowering that is to know that things can't rattle us, that discomfort can't take us down, that we actually know exactly what to do, or at least we understand it. I am not immune to the discomfort, frustration, and pain and uncomfortable, but it does push my superpowers through, like we all have, to find solutions, find ways to feel better, find ways to use my voice, and practice lining up with what matters to my soul, reminding me of my worth, what I deserve, and what the tough spots are showing me. The upside to being so sensitive to energy is the uncomfortable feels extremely heightened to me. But because of that, I move through it quicker because it feels so not great. I also know, and have seen with my own eyes, what's on the other side of it. Most people don't get to the good stuff because they stop short to band-aid it. It's so much more fulfilling to lean in all the way in and get that complete gift on the other side. Get good at being uncomfortable. If anyone was giving out degrees for discomfort, I know I would have for sure graduated with honors. And not everyone can handle it. But if you're listening to this, you sure as shit can too. Thanks so much for being here. Please rate, like, share, and review so we can stay connected and continue this magical journey together.